3, hopefully that's the one you're prepared for. That's what we prepared for, and that's always a good thing. All right, so question 3 reads, by the late 1780s, many founders believed that the Articles of Confederation were not working well. What were some achievements of the Congress under the Articles of Confederation? What shortcomings did many founders see in the Articles? And what arguments could you have made in support of the Articles? And we're now ready to hear your response.
During the American Revolution, our founding fathers were faced with the task of creating an effective government. At the time, many American colonists feared a strong national government because King George III and Parliament had abused their long-established rights as British citizens. They feared that their rights would be violated yet again if the national government was too powerful or too distant from the American people. The Articles of Confederation was created with this in mind.
Although the Articles of Confederation set up our first national government, it had many flaws. Many of these flaws were related to the imbalance of power between the state and federal governments. Under the Articles, the federal government had very little power, which led to the government not being able to perform the duties stated in the preamble. An example of this was the Articles' failure to establish a federal court system and an executive branch, which made it hard to enforce the laws passed by the legislative branch. Also, its legislative branch was denied the right to tax its citizens, making it difficult to pay off the debt of the American Revolution and promote the general welfare. The lack of funds also made it hard for the federal government to establish a national army to protect the nation from foreign attacks. The only military the Articles required were state militias that were very ineffective, as proven by Shays' Rebellion. Finally, federal government had no power to settle disputes in this country. Since the government could not ensure domestic tranquility, there is no way to prevent civil wars. As a result, the federal government had no power to protect the rights of its citizens and could not provide a prosperous future for America and its citizens. As well as ineffective, it was also extremely difficult to amend.
Despite these weaknesses, the Articles of Confederation united our government for the purpose of fighting the American Revolution, and the U.S. government provided for the first national legislature. Under the Articles, the United States also passed the Northwest Ordinance, which opened up vast western land to development by the United States. By doing so, the country's westward expansion was accelerated. It also helped establish the Land Ordinance of 1785, which divided the Northwest Territory into townships and lots.
Although the Articles of Confederation had many weaknesses, it was a good start to shaping the nation. It addressed the fears of the people in that time period, and many of those fears still remain today. It followed the basic beliefs, including preventing the central government from becoming too strong, and addressed the issue of large states dominating small states or vice versa. The weaknesses and strengths of the Articles of Confederation showed the founders what we need in national government. The system of federalism established by the Constitution did much to address the balance of power between the national and state governments that was lacking during the Articles of Confederation. According to James Madison in Federalist Number 51, in the Compound Republic of America, the power surrendered by the people is first divided between two distinct governments, and then each portion allotted to each subdivided among distinct and separate departments. Hence, a double security arises to the rights of the people. The different governments will be controlled by each other and at the same time will be controlled by itself. This double security, or federalism, works to ensure the rights of the people do not become subject to government abuse. The balance of power between the states and the national governments was not equal during the Articles of Confederation.
The 10th Amendment reserves powers not given to the national government for the states. Matters of dispute in our federal system are, of course, still prevalent when the national government encroaches on state authority. From healthcare to education, to same-sex marriage, and the war on drugs, federalism is at the forefront of American life.
In 2012, Washington and Colorado voted legalizing recreational marijuana. At the same time, production, distribution, and use of the drug is illegal under federal law. This means that a federal judge will have to rule on a case of state law against federal law and may eventually be ruled upon by the Supreme Court.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, I've got so many questions spinning around my head, I can't wait to get started. So, let's talk about, you mentioned some of the weaknesses of the Articles. You did a very nice job outlining some of those weaknesses. So therefore, some of our founding fathers decided to get together in Philadelphia and just start over. Right? They threw away the Articles and just wrote a new Constitution. But yet, under the Articles of Confederation, it clearly stated that you had to have a unanimous vote in order to change the Articles. It had to be 13 out of 13 states. Rhode Island doesn't show up. So could you make the argument that by establishing a new constitution, they were breaking the law?
I think that you could make an argument saying that, but because Rhode Island didn't show up, you could assume that either they didn't care or that and something needed to be done because it was proven by Shelley's Rebellion that the Articles of Confederation just weren't working well.
Also, even though it did say by law that you had to have a unanimous vote, the Articles of Confederation also did say that only 9 out of 13 were needed to amend the Articles of Confederation. So,
Well, to pass a new law, you
Yeah.
had to have 9, but to amend was unanimous. Okay.
yeah, that is true.
Okay.
So I think that even though Rhode Island didn't vote on it, I do not think that they were breaking the law because it was necessary for them to change it.
You mentioned that you mentioned that the Northwest Ordinance helped establish public education. Can you explain how that happened?
Well, in the Northwest Ordinance, when they did it per lots, the federal government did establish a public education in each township. And yeah.
Okay. All right. What was Shays' Rebellion, and why did it frighten many Americans? And what effect did this rebellion have on the Articles of Confederation?
Well, Shays' Rebellion was an event that really sort of galvanized the whole nation to action because they realized that with their system of only using state militias, they were unable to fight an uprising.
Also, it brought into mind the issues, it really showed them the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation and why they needed to change them.
The Shays' Rebellion was also a riot, an uprising by farmers that were very upset with the economic state of Massachusetts, because they believed Massachusetts was not doing their best to protect their rights, like not getting paid back for fighting the American Revolution. So that is why they rioted.
All right. First of all, in your 4-minute response, and I think for the first time today, we had a group that really tied it into ours. So how does this impact us today? You mentioned healthcare, education, same-sex marriage, recreational marijuana, with great application. So my question is, what do you think would be the result of those if the Articles of Confederation were still in existence today? Would anything be different?
I can say for sure that we would definitely for sure not be the same global superpower that we are today, mainly because we would not have we would only have a legislative branch. Therefore, if they hadn't changed it at all, then we wouldn't be able to tax our citizens, we wouldn't be able to have a national army, etc.
And I believe that the states may not be as connected as they are today.
With trade and commerce.
Compared to the Articles, what shortcomings do we have with the U.S. Constitution? And how would you suggest fixing them?
I would say that in Congress, as the Articles of Confederation was very difficult to amend, as with the 9 out of 13 vote and the unanimous vote, but now it kind of is hard because they made the system so hard to kind of like pass laws that sometimes we might not be able to react quickly enough, or it might take a while to pass a law. And this might also be because of the competition of the House of Representatives and the Senate. And yeah, definitely the two parties competing with different ideology. So one way we can fix this is try and solve those kind of different disputes between two houses and between two ideologies.
So I'm from the little tiny state of Delaware, but in that Senate we get 2 votes. You guys from that large state of Virginia, and in the Senate you get 2 votes. You guys okay with that?
Yes,
Why?
because we are also proportionately represented greater than Delaware in the House of Representatives.
And if it was just the Senate or just the House of Representatives, it would not be fair because there's more people in Virginia than Delaware. So we should have a little bit more say, but it shouldn't be, Virginia should not be able to completely overpower Delaware.
So what I'm hearing is the folks from Virginia would have supported the New Jersey plan over the Virginia plan. Is that correct? Oh! I finally got somebody to say yes today. All right.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you. I know we got to be out of time, so thank you so much. I mean, I just have fun. Parents, I mean, this is my favorite part of my job all year long. I get to come around and judge these competitions. It just makes me feel better about this country. I've got to tell you, the application that you guys put towards today, being able to apply what you learned about history and how it impacts us today with some of those issues, I commend you for it. I commend your teachers for it. But I also know that it happens more than just in the classroom. It happens around the kitchen table as well. So I thank the parents for it as well. Thank you for that great presentation.
You did an excellent job.
Thank you so much.